was very standardized. I picked one toy and it was like this puzzle piece, like fit in piece, and I kept them all at the same scale and they were just layered upon one another. There's no intersections and they all.
And are these all disc-like? Yeah, they're kind of flat. They're more pancake than basketball.
Yeah.
Right? And some cakes come in different shapes. Right? But nevertheless, there's always a kind of standard flatness to them. Right? So your project has a kind of directionality. Right? Barbie's staircase has directionality because it's a kind of cylindrical mass. So looking from one direction is circular, but looking in the other direction is sort of linear. Right? So this project has that quality. It depends on which way you turn. Right? One object can be perceived in different ways. And of course that also then translates to, since they're not kind of universally gun balls, which are round all the way, and you put all the gun balls in this box, right? And then no matter how they go in, it doesn't really matter. But in this case, it does matter because some piece going in like that versus some piece going in like that versus some piece going in like that changes the way they all fit and how many you can put into the box. So it's an interesting collection with a kind of bias in terms of direction. Flat versus round, like in X, Y, and Y, Z, like that. And it's just conceptually just about sort of keep shaking this box apart until everything kind of settles to the bottom. Right? And this too concerns, let's say, gumball and what you made. Because gumballs are shaped in a certain way and they're smooth and they're heavy. So when you keep pounding them, they all kind of pack really, really tight. Whereas in this project, because there are things that are kind of flat and sometimes things are turned this way and they all get caught, right? So it yields more negative space potentially than just gumballs, because gumballs are always compact. Yeah, and you too, I think, will benefit from realizing the payoff of the project, right? In terms of sort of variety and experience. The reason I kept talking about difference in variety has to do with, wait a second, why am I reading this book? Every chapter is exactly the same chapter. I'm reading it over and over again. Or this roller coaster ride sucks, because I keep going in this loop, and this loop, and this loop, and this loop 19 times, right? So what's the fun in that? And if you are to understand architecture not as a kind of formal object or spatial quality as a result of that object, or aggregation, you can kind of combine object. You can also understand architecture not from that kind of sculptural object standpoint. You can be this big, right? And you can be in it, and you're walking through the project. It's no longer sort of you seeing the project this way. Ideally, you are seeing the project this way. And it's not just being in here, and being here, and being here, and being here. It's sort of being here first, and then you turn the corner, and then you go up, and then you go towards light, and then when you get there, you realize there's something that's dropped sort of down below. So that's understanding the architecture in a kind of as a kind of sequence or as an experience, as architectural promenade. But architecture is very different post-modernism, not capital P. After modernism, when Le Corbusier talks about architecture not as sort of perfectly proportioned object, perfect geometry, perfect proportion, perfect replica of God, the image of God, including golden section, including sort of dome. Architecture is no longer about sort of the form of that object or the space of that object, like the Pantheon. Architecture is now sort of, first I walk here, and then I go here, and then I experience that, and then I'm intrigued by that. I start here and I end here, and sometimes you can go multiple ways. In Villa Savoy, where the terminus, the climax of Villa Savoy as a kind of sequence, and of course the main device is the ramp, that you go up and you go up. And arguably, the circulation starts from a car driving around a semicircle radius. That circle is supposed to be the radius of a 1927 Packard. Right? So you would come up down this driveway and go around the semicircle. You get out, you enter, you go to the ramp, and you go up one level. When you arrive there, you're still outside in the patio, and then you can go up one more level. And in the case of Villa Savoy, the end is really important. But the end of that path is the roof garden, and with all these sort of carefully cubist constructed sculptural objects. So yeah, and here's another point I'd like to make is think of this not necessarily as a formal construction, because it really isn't a form construction. Everything is compacted into a cube, right? So it's not really kind of articulated form. It has a lot of texture, it has a lot of grain, it has a lot of sort of granular grain. But as a kind of formal object, maybe there's a little bit of sort of missing corner here and here, but otherwise this is just sort of defaults into a cube that's 2 by 3 by whatever in proportion. Right? So this is not truly a sculptural form. This is sort of almost anti-form. But beyond that, really, this project is just about seeing yourself microscopically and deciding how you're going to navigate this cavern, right? And think about all the drama that can potentially emerge from this cavern. So how many people have visited like Wind Cave National Park, Carlsbad Cavern? But anyway, cave after cave after cave. And there's one cave called the Grand Room or something. And then there's some parts where you can barely squeeze through. So that's potentially where kind of variety emerges. You have to experience it as an insect crawling through your project. Did you win? Or what are you most happy with? What are your terms? What do you see? What are you trying to do? I'm trying to finish the project by deadline. I'm trying to make sure I check every requirement that was told. I'm trying to get an A-. Yeah, what are you trying to do?
I'm trying to just fill the books with as much.
Yeah, but like if I were being especially unkind, I would just go with, how is your project better than the box of pasta I just bought? And I don't even need a step. I just need $1.69 at once. Right? So if those are the terms you choose, I just want to fill the box with all kinds of negative space emerging with one standardized part with different directionality. Right. I just buy a box of noodles, not the long kind, but the shape kind. But I would say, and this is sort of a whole different topic. A lot of times what you guys are grappling with is to fulfill the requirements as written. And it's not truly your project until you start to decide for yourself how the project should behave. So for example, I would say here's a design decision. Choosing to put those 3 colors, no, actually a 5 color, 6 color mix, actually minus orange. Oh, there is orange. So use all the primary and secondary colors. But even then, that's almost not a choice because you use all the primary and secondary colors. You did not choose, I'm going to work within green-blue spectrum. So that's a non-choice. I suppose you need to choose which piece gets which color. I suppose that's a kind of diagram. Right? But still, that's not, I'm not sold on you having ownership. But to me, the real ownership of this project is putting these 2 drawings side by side. Yeah, I think choosing to read it as sort of crochet and negative space, okay, draws attention. That's why in Dara's project I said, how can I see the space in between? Because all I look at is basketball and golf ball and Barbie's things. So to me, then that's meaningful because you're trying to highlight that condition in between. Right. And the fact that she used black background, because I'm not sure black background is written as a requirement. Right? So that's a choice. And in the span of a project, it's always a matter of you step forward to make choices. And part of the problem is you guys are so busy sort of just checking all the boxes. Let everybody else tell you what all the requirements are. So I then deny you ownership because, oh, it's not truly your project if you never stepped in and sometimes even push back against whatever requirements that are given. Which project would you like to see?